Let's have a chat. Come over, let's have a chat. Actually, a very interesting day, but I'm going to ask you if it's your first time to make sure that you subscribe to the channel and also ring the bell so that every time I'm live or I drop a video, you'll be notified immediately. But I just want to extend so much love and gratitude to my regulars. You're important, amazing people. I just want to appreciate your comments, y'all. Absolutely amazing. Again, you're behaving. Remember, we said there's no fight right here. We really have to have a conversation. And I'm super proud of you. I'm really super proud of you. Please don't forget to like the live as we move along. It's very important that we can push algorithm. Let's talk about ZEC. They are being dragged to court for a fraud election. Mutoko Zisingwenya, it's good to see you, man. Good to see your face in line. And I'm so excited that you're here. I can't wait to see everybody. It's good to see you. And also, let me tell you, Dr. Mumba is going to speak, regarding this sham election. All right, Kevin, good to see you, man. Let's have a conversation. Okay, by the way, because we know that people are literally hanging on a thread to know where to from here. But I'm super excited that at least people are taking action against Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Honestly, I'm happy that people are doing that. It's so crucial. Drop your location, please, so that I can know where you are watching us from. It's very important. It helps me to actually plan and make sure that at least accommodate everybody. We are in 2024. We are in to win, and we are in to change the trajectory. We said Zimbabwe has to be a country of a conversation. Enough with silencing each other. Let's talk. It's so good to see you. Chauke, good to see you, and thank you so much for such a compliment. I appreciate you deeply. Good to see everybody. All right, what's happening? Zimbabweans, it is trending. By the way, the news box is reporting, Mackenzie, that has been really on a rampage to track Zimbabweans down. You saw him while he was in Limpopo. He was in Limpopo, actually. Is it Limpopo? Yes, 100%. Literally slept outside, checking who are border jumping. And the same Mackenzie was actually hand in glove with President Emmerson Mnangagwa doing business. I said it's about 2006, right? Yeah, 2006. And then he said he pulled out his investment in 2015 after he realized that something wasn't right. But very close to the President Emmerson Mnangagwa. But he's been really talking so ugly about Zimbabweans. Interesting. All right, let's move on now. Here we are, we need to move on. All right, there are questions that people are asking that I'm like, just wait, let's move. Let's see what's happening. So I'm gonna tell you guys, there's a word that literally, flabbergasts me, but it's a very important word. I feel like us Zimbabweans right now, we are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. I don't know if you know what that means, but I'm gonna give you an explanation. For those that know, please just drop in the comment section. Syndrome. This is a syndrome where it's a coping mechanism to captive or abusive situation. People develop positive feelings towards their captors or abusers over time. This condition applies to situations including child abuse, coach-athlete abuse, relationship abuse, and sex trafficking. I said Stockholm syndrome. This is what I think we're really suffering from. And you get to know why I keep on persisting on that. But Nelson Chamisa is always dropping such positive, nuggets. He said the future is controlled and governed by those who can clearly see it, grasp that future picture. And he had to attach this, a weaved, what do you call it? Like a weaved plant. What do you call it when you have kind of calabash? A weaved calabash. The future is controlled and governed by those who can clearly see it coming, grasp the future in picture. What is just referring to is the upcoming united Zimbabwe. Is what we are championing, all of us, honestly. We want our country to unite now or never. Okay. And then Dr. Ruwende. Let me just tell you, this one here, if you can ever listen to anything I'm going to say tonight, I'm asking you to listen to this tweet. Very important. You may not need it, but your friends, family members need it. He said going to a country X, so he's referring to Zimbabweans, coming back with literally nothing, get that right, but a sickness, and it's usually advanced HIV or drug-induced psychosis is the worst. Selfish thank you to your parents or relatives. It's not good. This post isn't originating from nowhere. It's based on real everyday stories. He's a medical doctor. So he literally says, I'm coming across a lot of Zimbabweans, to be specific or to be particular, who are coming back home sick. So they bring back sickness to their parents, then bringing at least something, apart from sickness, but majority are. And the most familiar diseases are always HIV or drug-induced psychosis. It is actually the worst present you can ever bring to your parents. Moving on, we have 120,000 women die giving birth in Zimbabwe. Quite very, very, very sad to watch. Very sad to watch. Quite a number of Zimbabwean women who are dying giving birth. And I think it's time for us to rise up and say, is this what we want? They're dying giving birth. You know why? Because of the conditions of our hospitals. There isn't enough care for them to give birth well in hospitals. So what can we do, you and me? We must work together to make sure that at least we fix the situation in our country. Now, let's take a listen to Dr. Mumba, please. Very important. What he says, the SADC stands. You only dropped that video yesterday. Where SADC is standing today. Let's take a listen to Dr. Mumba. It's quite a long video, but very important information. After people ask him what happened in Zimbabwe, and he's still willing to share, and he's still willing to tell you where SADC stands as far as that shame of election is concerned. Take a listen.
A huge role not only in Zambia but also outside of the country as well. I think the most recent issue, or the most pressing issue that some of our fans also wanted to discuss, was, of course, the Zimbabwe August 2023 election, which was the second election that took place in Zimbabwe after the fall of Robert Mugabe. And your role as the SADC chair caused quite a bit of a stir, to say it like that, among the ruling party particularly. And of course, it met the applause of the opposition camp. So I don't know if you could shed some light on that and just speak on that as well.
Sorry, it's the SADC Chair Observer Mission.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. That's what I was going to correct. Yeah, thank you so much, Zenda, for helping me there. No, I was not the SADC chair. I was SADC head of mission, particularly for the Zimbabwe election. I'm no longer, the head of mission, because that mission is over now. I think that this experience that I had in Zimbabwe falls squarely in line with my call as an evangelist. When I got involved in church work, I came in as an evangelist, taking the light to where darkness was. When I joined Zambian politics, my entire crusade is to bring morality and integrity in politics. So when the president of our country, President Hakainde Hichilema, asked me if I could represent SADC in Zimbabwe as a head of mission for the election this last August, I went there with really no agenda of any form. I had never played that role at that level before, and I had never led a SADC mission before. And so I was there with a very open heart. The instructions given to me were clear. Number one, never, as head of mission, you have 68 observers that are going to go with you. They are from the 16 different SADC countries. They came from different countries, 16 SADC countries, and I was heading that group. So this group was eventually distributed in all the provinces of Zimbabwe to do one specific job. And the job was basically to observe the election, nothing else. We didn't go there to change their constitution. We didn't go out there to make people vote a certain way. I personally didn't go there with any preferred candidate. That is why when I arrived in Zimbabwe, my team and I, the first call was on President Mnangagwa at State House to go and listen to him on the preparedness for the election. Then after that, we met the opposition leader, Mr. Chamisa, and we listened to his story and the concerns that his team had. And all we do, and we were doing, was take notes of what the stakeholders were doing. We eventually interviewed several people in Zimbabwe and institutions that had something to do with elections. And so our job was very, very clear and easy. Observe, and out of the observation, write a report of what you have observed and present that report to the Zimbabwean people and to the international community. So that was one of the easiest things I've done, because all they wanted us to do was to use our eyes and our ears, and then not challenge their constitution, not challenge their anything, but just make sure that they are conducting that election in accordance with their own laws that they have set for themselves, and also the electoral act that they have decided to put in place by themselves, and to ensure that the election is free and fair for all those that are participating.
Yeah.
And so those were our areas of concern as we watched. So after the 68 observers from across the country came back to Harare and brought their reports, a team of 24 sat down to go through these reports and look at those areas that are common from all the corners of the country. And they formed the basis of the report. And in that report, we praised the Zimbabwean government and the Electoral Commission for things that they did right. But we also did raise deep concerns about things that were observed, not by Mumba, by the 68 observers that went across the country. We also highlighted those things that were done in contradiction to their own laws and electoral act, and also contrary or below the standards of the SADC principles and guidelines on democratic elections. So for us, we had three things, Nathan. Number one, we had to look at the constitution of Zimbabwe and ask ourselves as observers, are these elections taking place within the confines of this constitution? Two, we looked at the electoral act of Zimbabwe. Are these elections following the prescribed space on how elections should be conducted in Zimbabwe? Thirdly, we had our own little booklet, which is called Principles and Guidelines for Democratic Elections of SADC. And we compare what the report is saying from the different provinces to those three documents becoming the pillars around which we make determination. So when that was done, as leader of the SADC mission, I was given the odious responsibility to now read that report that was written by technocrats and the Secretariat of SADC, helped by our own drafting team that comprised of people from different countries, 16 countries. So basically that's how you evolve the report. So that's all I did. I read the report, and I was very, very clear about the report, that it represented things that we observed on the ground. Unfortunately, Nathan and ZEC, the ruling party of Zimbabwe, ZANU, took great offense after we issued our report in Zimbabwe of the election, as we had observed it as SADC. Unfortunately, the ruling party found offense in predominantly in one sentence that said that the election of August in Zimbabwe, the 2023 election, fell short of the international democratic standards of an election, and also fell short of the SADC principles and guidelines. But they have been praised for areas in which they did well, especially that the election was conducted in an atmosphere of relative peace with absolutely no notable violence. And we get that to them. But I think that maybe it's because SADC has never questioned Zimbabwe before about any kind of sins that could have been committed during the election, that they found that, SADC, did them, deliberately did that. There was no intention to write a report that would injure Zimbabwe or the Zimbabwean people. And to answer your question, it is for this reason that a lot of Zimbabweans, even if you go online today, welcomed our report with both hands, because they said time has come for Africa to start having true reflective reports that talk about the challenges that we face on the African continent. If we all hide our weaknesses and our failures, our inabilities to provide the very best product for our people, when and how are we going to improve? If somebody comes to your house and says, oh, there's a dead rat there in the corner, please remove it, and you hate him that is exposing my filth, I think then you don't love yourself. I think anybody who comes and tells me there's a problem in my house and gives me an opportunity to clean it up is my friend. And I think that SADC needs to move, and I know that it happens all over the world, but I think SADC needs to continue to be truthful, as that is the only way that we can improve the story of democracy in our region and on our continent. If we tell lies to each other and scratch each other at the back and tell them we are doing well when our people are dying, when our people are not able to express themselves, we are doing a great injustice, not to foreigners, but to ourselves. And Zimbabwe is a brother, and just like Zambia, I would not allow what I would hate to see happen in Zambia to happen in Zimbabwe, because we are neighbors and we are brothers. So what's good for Zambia is good for Zimbabwe and vice versa. So that is the story of Zimbabwe, and I'm very proud of the team that I worked with, one of the most intelligent. I am an African.
All right, so that was Dr. Mumba speaking about the Zimbabwean election yesterday, apparently. Again, to reiterate that the election fell short of the international guideline as well as the SADC guideline. No, not only international SADC, and also even the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So they still stand that the election fell short. It is what it is. There's nothing that will change that. So what we're going to be looking at right now is the ZEC that is being dragged to court now with Mali. This is quite a very interesting, move here. First of all, I just want to say shout out to this man. I want to say shout out. I know some people may say, oh, nothing will happen. The courts are captured. That's not the issue. The bottom line is the step that is taken towards the democracy that we are looking for, towards the legitimacy that we are all seeking, is the most important part. I think the guts, the boldness. This is what I said is the people of Zimbabwe. We need to separate the behavior of others and what we can do when we are doing right. There is a difference. So I'm going to go through this article very quickly that was sent out by the NEWSDAY. They said the Zimbabwean citizen Brian Marie has dragged the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to court, seeking an order to compel the electoral board to run a fresh election due to various irregularities, among them a flawed delimitation exercise. The main opposition party, Citizen Coalition for Change, was the first to dispute the August 2023 poll results, in which President Emmerson Mnangagwa was declared the winner. Triple C described the poll as a gigantic fraud. Mari also cited Chief Justice Luke Malaba as a respondent in the matter, arguing that he had no judicial authority in Zimbabwe. In his application, Mari wants the Law Society of Zimbabwe cited as the fourth respondent to investigate lawyer Lewis Uriri, who he accuses of undermining democracy by taking instructions from two opposition parties. And I think which is also a bit weird, honestly, a bit weird. Uriri is also a respondent in the case alongside the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, Clerk of Parliament, Commander of Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Attorney General, and the Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency. Like I said to you during the day, that there's an article that they are also calling out the Defense Force, which is the army, to actually remove ZANU-PF, because I said you put them there, you should remove them there, because the army is expected to be independent. But as it stands, it seems like they are partisan, which is they are in bed with the ZANU-PF. So people are saying, no, it can't. We cannot carry on with this mess. We need to make sure that we put things in order. This is a new year, 2024, and definitely we need to start on a new path. We cannot carry on the same old thing. So it said, I therefore seek a declaratory declaring that the action of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, Mr. Luke Malaba and Mr. Lewis Uriri are not lawful, said Murray in his application. Direct the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to conduct a fresh election that comply with all principles, laws governing a democratic process. Direct the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission to carry out an investigation on abuse of office and authority at any parliament. ZEC and courts and take appropriate action, said Murray. He added, I therefore seek a declaratory that directs Law Society to conduct an investigation on the conduct of its members in relation to obligation imposed on every person by Section 44 of the Constitution and the binding in terms of Section 45, and come up with a remedy that seeks to protect right in Section 67, subsection 1, subsection A, against the conduct of legal practitioners who carry instructions from two opposing parties, one in judicial robes and another as litigate and also undermine democracy. Murray said he did not recognize Justice Malaba as the Chief Justice. Malaba, resigned. Malaba retired, and then he was also brought back by the President Emmerson Mnangagwa. So he says, I do not recognize him as the Chief Justice of Zimbabwe. Murray also castigated Uriri, who is also President Emmerson Mnangagwa's lawyer, but also represents Sengozo Shavangu. Remember, the guy is such a ruthless dude. A CCC self-imposed Secretary General who recalled several opposition legislators after the harmonized elections. I saw this guy literally drank mazoe. You posted a picture on Twitter where he was taking when he was drinking mazoe. He's such a very arrogant man. Very disrespectful. And I looked at him, I'm like, dude, you seems to be like you're carrying the whole world in your hands, and you like you're in control of life where you don't even know that anything can change any day, any minute. And you'll be surprised with what God can do. I think it's said that people don't even realize that actually not in control. It says, I'm also putting before the court's attention of a legal practitioner by the name Mr. Lewis Uriri, who is acting in all cases involving undermining the authority of Zimbabweans. Mr. Lewis Uriri is the legal representative of Mr. Luke Malaba in the Musa Kiva versus Luke Malaba's case. A judgment was issued showing Mr. Uriri as the lawyer of Mr. Malaba. Mr. Uriri is also a lawyer of Mr. Shavangu. Judges are acting on instructions of Chief Justice as manned by Mr. Luke Malaba as shown in practice direction, and Mr. Shavangu in represented by the Mr. Luke Malaba's lawyer. Then whose instruction does Mr. Uriri apply between Shavangu instructions and Mr. Malaba's instructions, he said. Do you also recall that this Uriri man, Shavangu, so Chief Justice also, remember, he sent out a statement that every political matter that can be filed in the magistrate court or high court, whatever court it is, it should pass through his office. He must read it first and then give a directive to whoever should handle that matter. That is Chief Justice. Chief Justice Malaba. Look, I'm sitting on the other side. I'm like, sir, Mr. Malaba, shout out. Fathers, shout out to you. And I'm sitting and I'm like, okay, so the Chief Justice said every matter, political matter, should come to his office and he will instruct a magistrate to handle it. And the people went mad and said, what is really going on? God knows what's going on. And God will deal with it in the right way. And I'm sure very soon, he knows what's going on and he will deal with it. But we move on to Mr. Tagwire right now. It's a lot of drama. I told you that, I feel like Zimbabweans, like right now, we suffer from Stockholm syndrome. Honestly, because the things that are going on in the country that we are normalizing, they aren't normal. So many things are not normal and we have normalized them. It doesn't make no sense. Like, how can people treat us this way? And it's just, we don't do absolutely nothing. We're just like, okay, that's okay. Life goes on. This is why I've got so much respect for Murray, who stand and said, no, there was a fraud election. This election never met the international standards, SADC standards, even our constitution of Zimbabwe too, was also a parameter that was used by the SADC observers mission. The EU too, you saw, they sent out their statement as well, bastardizing this sham election. They even also pulled their support, financial support for any election until there are reforms in place. But everything, we just look at it like it is normal. It looks like it is normal. So now we're moving to Mr. Tagwire. Quite a very interesting man here. Quite very interesting. I say to you, because of what's going on, we have normalized the abnormal. And these people have mastered the art of playing with our minds. You know, we are living in an era of deception. Like in Zimbabwe, it's so thick. Deception, it's so thick. You know what's very scary? Is it is permeated into the church. It filters down to the last person. The people that we once trusted, we can't trust them any more. Especially a church has always been a place of refuge, but no, it's no longer. It's all about the money. Who owns the, you know, who is the stake? A person who has more stake receive the respect, and the rest of the people don't matter, right? So Mr. Tagwire is the one that actually pulled, you know, some of these, the videos that I played for you during the day, where it was the army, it was the police, the President Emmerson Mnangagwa's wife, Auxilia Mnangagwa, His Excellency as well, President Emmerson Mnangagwa spoke at the Seventh-day Adventist. But I wanted to hear what Tagwire is saying. Considering his resume, you know, Tagwire has quite a number of things that are going on in his life in terms of, you know, he's always been implicated in so many corruption in the country, Mr. Tagwire. But he's also being called a pastor as well, a pastor. Don't forget the gold mafia as well. There was Angel Dew. We are being also dropped in that place, also calling himself a pastor. I saw an article about 2 days ago where Magaya too, who actually commissioned a stadium, quote unquote, is also being dragged to court by the Israelis that are calling him that he has duped them billions. A pastor. Do you understand? Can you see how these men of God are kind of playing a part in almost every ruthless and every evil that's going on in the country? That makes me question and say, is this still the church? I'm a born-again Christian, filled by the Holy Ghost, but I've never seen such level of deception that's going down in the country. Manipulation that's going in and out. And they know how to play the Church of Jesus Christ. They're very smart on that. When you listen to Mr. Tagwire speak, that's when you know how much they can play the church. The manipulation is thick and it is deep. And people are clapping hands. That's why I said we are now suffering with a syndrome of worshiping the very same people that keep us in captive. They're becoming our gods. Because you know what? They've got a highest stake in the camp. So we think they're special. But I want you to listen to Mr. Tagwire speaking. Then you understand exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Take a listen to him. Very, very manipulative.
In the end time, not one stone will be left upon the other. We think now that we can make it alone. So Christ was saying, we will believe in the end time that we can make it alone. That we don't need anybody else to make it. And yet, Peter says we are built into a frame. I need you, you need me. The world is telling us that you don't need anyone else. Christ is saying you need everybody who is close to you to be part of you. And I want to extend this to you all, to recognize that we need each other. If you look at our country and indeed the world, everyone thinks that they know everything and they want to do everything. But the Bible is telling us that we need each other. As I was waking up, a song came into my I didn't know this song in Shona. I knew it in English. Come on. But I sang it in Shona for some reason. Do you know Mira, Pajoda? And I sang this song and I sent it. My wife takes it my sister, and we sent it to everyone, including the president.
Can you hear?
Because we were talking about it was talking to me about the fact that we're about to cross over.
Can you hear that? Hold on. I've told you how they're so good at manipulation. Can you hear that? He says, I even spoke to the president. Remember the President Emmerson Mnangagwa? He spoke, during that crossover night. So he says, I spoke to the president, said that there was a song that I woke up feeling. Because remember, he's a closest ally to the president. But you hear more as some of his shenanigans are coming out. But he's telling the church, he's preaching in the church. And telling them that I've told the president that we are about to cross over. Can you hear that? We are about to cross over. That's what he's saying.
Crossover to what? Crossover to Jordan. Crossover Jordan. To Canaan when there is success. But before we get there, things started happening. Disunity started happening.
Huh?
Everyone started fighting for each other, for themselves. But we were being told we are about to cross over. And I was reminded by God, as I'm reminding you, that as we are to cross over to prosperity, let our eyes be fixed on the prosperity in Jordan, not on the now. Because Jordan is just a bridge that we are crossing over. And we are going to be in Canaan.
How do people cross over to prosperity? I've always said to people, I think there's a lot of manipulation and lies that always are, being spewed by these, so-called pastors, is that they think that there's a magic way of changing things. There are principles that govern life. And when those principles are broken or they are violated, nothing works. How can in a country that there's no love, people are hating and killing innocent blood, innocent people? And then you turn around, you say, God says we're going to cross and there's prosperity. The very same people that are implicated in all those wrongs are standing in front of the church and telling you that we're almost crossing the river to prosperity. And then that makes me ask you questions. What's going on? Everything centers around all these cartel. You find the police is talking there, the army is talking, the president is talking, and the person's wife is talking at the same church where the cartel, Mr. Tagore, is claimed to be the pastor. And it's not telling you, the Zimbabwean people, that no. Right now, we are about to cross over to prosperity. We're at the river Jordan. We're almost we are very close to Canaan. He's telling you that. Does that make sense to you?
I want to tell you, our eyes must be fixed into Canaan, not in the troubles that we are facing on the other side. And when we are together as a family, united in this common cause, we are going to cross over. We need the pastors to step on the water so that it may become. We need the soldiers to fight for us because there are still wars to fight. We need prayer warriors to pray. We need you to take your position as we cross over. Let us look at crossing over, not at now. When we think about that, we will think, and I like my soldier because they talk about being comrades, the camaraderie, that no one must be left behind. We must grab everyone on our side as we look over. That is the hope that I give you. And I asked my friend Everton to sing this song with you. And obviously, we are going to have some other things that we are going to do. I want to ask Everton to help me sing number 47 as we focus on the prosperity to come.
as we focus on the prosperity to come. Before I pass my commentary, I just want you to take a listen to one of the video that came out in South Africa here, where that was a central group, the people that investigated them, and also, then they send out a centric report. Very important, the UK, in cooperation with South African investigators, they're the ones that caught their trail of corruption. Take a listen to what they had to say, please. Unbelievable. And they're in the church and they're telling you that we are almost crossing. But on the other hand, they're looting the resources and they're telling you you're almost crossing. They keep on giving you false hope. False hope. In the church, that's the most scary part. Honestly, where's the time of Ananias and Sapphira, where people were being clapped while in the church and lying? While they were busy lying. And they'll be slapped in the church. But take a listen, please.
A report by investigative organization The Sentry and non-profit organization Open Secrets has revealed how Zimbabwean presidential advisor Kudakwashe Tagwirei illegally moved funds to London. It's alleged that South Africans and Mauritians played a critical role in assisting Tagwirei to move the millions. Joining us now to tell us more about the findings of this investigation is Dick Donovan, who is a senior investigator at The Sentry. Thank you for making time for us, Nick. How did he do it?
This is a small example of the billions that move out of Africa and Southern Africa every year and that we sometimes hear about, and it's a microcosm. So he did it without help. To move around 430 million rand, you need banks, you need lawyers, you need company formation agents, and you needed some South African directors. And each of those played a different role in helping him move the money, first from Zimbabwe, then to Mauritius, and then from Mauritius to here in the UK where I am.
And have these other players been mentioned as well? We know him as the central figure, obviously as someone who is alleged to have approached these people. But do we know who these banks, these lawyers and South Africans are who may have assisted him?
Yeah, so normally when investigators, for example, people looking at the Guptas, they'll focus on the Guptas and the big players, and this time we wanted to focus on the so-called enablers, so the people who either turned a blind eye or knew about allegations about Tagore's possibly tainted funds, how he'd obtained his money, and didn't ask the right questions or knew and went ahead and helped him anyway. Mm-hmm. So this occurred during a period before he was sanctioned by the US and the UK, but after Zimbabwean journalists had published stories about two corruption scandals, one involving building a diesel power plant and one about an agriculture scheme. And those were sort of pretty readily available on, if you Googled his name, so anyone who was working with him should have been able to work out that there might have been some red flags or where the source of the funds were coming from, and should have been asking questions and possibly reporting transactions to their regulators in South Africa or in Mauritius or in the UK.
How much money are we talking here, Nick?
So it was 431 million rand, about $30 million US at the time. This is in 2019.
And what was the modus operandi? Is this money that he was investing as a facade? Is it money that they used to buy property and then ultimately it ends up in Mauritius? So how did it move from his country into the country where it was intended for?
So there were two Zimbabwean mines that were owned by a British company. They'd gone bankrupt and they were in judicial management and they were being run from the UK. And the possible taint on the funds from Tagore came with Command Agriculture, which was a scheme where it's complicated, but he got a favourable exchange rate, according to some legal analysis that we've seen, when he was paid by the Reserve Bank. And then the modus operandi for moving the money out of Zimbabwe was, it did it in a couple of stages. One time they, in emails that we saw the South African directors of the front company in Mauritius discussing issuing a false invoice, pretending that they were going to export cooking oil, But instead, no cooking oil actually flowed, and they just sent over the money from Zimbabwe to Mauritius. And this is a technique commonly used in trade-based money laundering, these kind of false invoices. And we corroborated that by checking customs data, and there were no shipments of cooking oil between these two companies. And then in another occasion, there was an offshore facade set up in Mauritius and the Cayman Islands, whereby Mr. Tagore put his money from his personal bank account in Mauritius, and he had another one in Switzerland, and then he put it into a Cayman Islands investment fund on one day, and then the next day that investment fund passed the money over to the Mauritius front company, and then the next day after that, the Mauritius front company sent it over to the UK to buy these two mines. And so it was like passing through, and the object was to distance Mr. Tagore away from the transaction. So if anyone asked for the source of funds, they could just say, it's a Cayman Islands investment fund, and in this way they're able to hide his identity. What's good?
And they're in the church and they're preaching. They're preaching to you, and they're telling you that you're almost crossing to Canaan. There's something so interesting that I've been watching lately, is how they want to associate themselves with the church so heavily. You saw what happened in Bulawayo, where it became like a rally. It was 1 minute, it was a Thanksgiving. My understanding is if it's a Thanksgiving for the nation, it must be across the board. No, it was a group of pastors, in Bulawayo there, and some people, but then there was a lot of, just kind of talking about what ZANU-PF has been doing, as a ruling party and whatever. And then there were, certain people, pastors were there, and people just sitting and watching. They were very upset. And then Wuna just stood up and started asking the church to stand up and clap hands because the president was there. And then the ZIM was reporting and said people didn't even want to actually, standing up for the president. It was a lot of drama. But my question is, they've been so much associated with themselves, the church. And again, I think for me, in my opinion, it's an issue of illegitimacy. They are trying so desperately to say, no, people want us, they love us, and try to convince the church, no, we are almost crossing to Canaan. Because bear in mind, this has always been what Chamisa says. Remember, talking about we are crossing to Canaan. Now they are hoping that those lines, now we are crossing to Canaan. It's all a mind game. I've told you, it's a mind game. We are living in an era where if you're not smart, you're going to be played heavily. What are the danger of deception? Within deception, it's a blinding agent. So embedded within deception, it's a blinding agent. So you won't see that you're being played. You think everything is okay because they've got a way that they can manipulate and maneuver, and you're like, I think everything is working. Now the church is clapping hands, they're shouting, yes, we are closing to Canaan. But on the other hand, they know they are playing their games. Deception is a problem that has taken over the country. Deception. Fake prophets everywhere, deceiving people. We have another fake prophet in town. I didn't know this man, but he came recently. But I said, you made a mistake. You just met the woman that reads the Bible. Shut up, devil. Shut up, devil. There's a man called Rodney Chipoyera. Did you see him circulating, telling the church to put some money there? God have said this when is starting the year. I wanted to listen to what he said. This man called Rodney Chipoyera, because immediately Kuda started laughing. Kuda Msaswa said, I played in the same rugby team as Chipoyera in PE, Port Elizabeth. Get that seed money, homie. I love people's freedom to worship and associate Christ all for currency, But I want you to listen to, I told you how they manipulate, and I'm going to tell you how it works. So that next time you're wiser, you're sober, and you're vigilant. You won't be played by the devil any longer. These fake prophets, take a listen to him. Manipulating the church.
You find an offering. What is your offering? The biggest note you can find this January. On some envelope. On your notice, entering 2024. I strongly recommend a $100 bill, $50 bill, and if it's your level, $20 bill. When you enter a new season, don't enter empty-handed. You enter with a seed. So next week on Sunday, we're going to offering 2024. Are we together? Then you are going to find a seed for 2024. 124, 224, 524, 1,024. This is US dollars. Then business people, 2,024 is what I recommend. 10,024, 20,024, 200,024. And you write on the envelope, double what? Establishment. When the Lord wanted to establish some things in Israel, look at what he did. 1 Kings chapter number 18. Right? The verse is there in my notes. Elijah told them to bring 12 stones. Say 12 stones. Say 12 stones. Representing the what? The 12 tribes of Israel. The gospel is established upon the foundation of who? The 12 apostles. This way. So the number for establishment is 12. But this year is double establishment, which is 24. Because it's the year what? 2024. Say 2024. So your seed must have a 24. So you must put that as your first seed for the year. And you start to release the prayers for 2024. Double establishment. We're going to eliminate poverty from this church.
Deception. And let me tell you, something is going on in the country because the deception is so thick and it's so real. And I'm asking myself, I'm like, in a country where people struggle to pay fees for their kids, struggle to feed their families, struggle to even make ends meet. One man who claims to be of God, that God is, he claims to be sent by God. He wants to take the little dollar out of your pocket to himself. So he sat in his house and he began to budget on people. He budgeted his life on people. He thinks people should go out there and work for him. All he can come is to talk what he can do is to talk the good game. And you believe him. Deception. Manipulation. Now I want to tell you how it works in the kingdom of Satan. In this era of 2024, you must be sober and vigilant. Be wiser. Giving has nothing to do with giving to the pastor. Well, I know I grew up in the church, in the FM church, and I can't tell you the assembly, but in the FM church where I used to be when I was a teenager, there was this girl. She was, her mom had passed away, so she was staying with her daddy and his siblings, but she was the elder in the family. So every day she would wake up and come to the church pastor's house and be cleaning at the pastor's house. And this girl would leave her mom's house dirty. And she stays with her daddy, but she's cleaning for the pastor, right? But she's leaving her father at home and his siblings. At church, they know her being this good girl. But at home, she's living a different life. Deception is the era that we are in today. But you know, in the words of Mother Teresa said, no. You want to change the world? Go back home and love your family. Charity begins at home. That's where it starts. Before you go in the church and start to be seen by everybody and try to throw money in the basket, check your family out. Check your parents out if they are okay. Giving has nothing to do with the four corner walls. A church is not a four corner building. A church is the people. That's why Christ said, I will build my church on this rock. He was referring to the people. I am the church and you are the church. If you go to church, and I'm talking to those that are going to church, so you run away from all these deceivers and liars, manipulators, satanic gods, because this is what they do. And some of the monies that they're taking from you, they owe allegiance to their gods, of marine gods, where they're getting their powers, where they're getting their rituals. If you check how they speak to people, under normal circumstances, when somebody's sober, you can actually see that I'm being played. But you can't because you're being manipulated. Because they come in fully charged with rituals. And when they speak church, I could see church members writing down. When you're not spiritual enough, you can be played very deeply. Spirituality has nothing to do with other people. It's everything to do with you studying the Bible and live it. It's that simple. You want to know the church? You take the Bible, you read it, and then you start living it. What it says is what you do. Everything right, every commandment, that's what he says, is all you do, and you've lived the church. It's nothing to do with the four corner wars. But remember, every good thing that God does, the enemy perverts. The church has always been known being a place of peace and love and sanity, but not in 2024. It is becoming the den of the devil. Because he knows every one thing that God does, he perverts. So these pastors are coming in, look all flamboyant. Some of them walks with bodyguards all over the place. They're wearing Italian suits, Porsche, because their gods assign them to wear labels. They have to wear labels. You've seen them, the way they love labels. Louis Vuitton, Chanel, DG. You know them. Yes, because their gods, their marine gods want them to look Porsche. It's part of the ritual. And you think, oh, the pastor is so holy. Oh, the pastor, you preach the word. The devil knows the word more than you can ever imagine. He knows the word. So they do know the word. They all focus on your pockets. That's when you know they're from the kingdom of Satan. You can't be played any longer. This is 2024. Be smarter. Some of you, from the time you started giving to these people, and they take your money back to these kingdoms, they are gods. Everything is beginning to fall apart. You ask yourself why? Because your life is hanging on a thread somewhere else where the enemy is playing with it. But in 2024, you're not going to be played any longer. You're going to stand for what's true and say, no, I read my Bible and that's it. Giving, I give as God command me. Even if you can give in your society, in your area, when give there. Do not give these pastors money. Most of them, they take it to their gods. No wonder why things are turning ugly in your life. Because those gods, they're not there to play with you. They're not coming for your life to be your friend. They come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. The assignment is very clear. These are fake prophets. I don't care what they call themselves. They can tell whatever they want to say. They are fake prophets. Men of God knows that they are sent by God. And because they are sent, the God provides for them. They don't have to go around and be squeezing people. It doesn't work like that. If they are called by God, they don't have to play that way. You need to be smart. It's the whole syndicate is it is very much well connected. It starts from the political point. It drips to the church now. It has invaded the church. So strategic. And you think, oh, they're coming from. No, they are not. There is nothing to do with God. Nothing, absolutely nothing to do with God. It's everything to do with manipulation, control. It's an issue of power, control. When you control a human's mind, you've controlled everything about them. It's all about controlling. And I pray that you guys are going to be wiser and be smarter. This year and moving forward, you can't be played any longer. It cannot happen. They always have scandals. These young boys. And I've always been asking myself questions. I've known pastors for many years. And a lot of pastors that we know. But I told you, I've known. We had people like Tudor Bismarck for the New Life Church. They've been known for years. They've never had no scandal. Except these new boys here. These new boys that are coming in these days. And they talk the good game. They all move around like they with bodyguards there. They want to threaten people. Because they know it's a syndicate. Well connected. With time, you guys are going to know that what I'm telling you is the truth. Because daily they are being exposed. Daily they're being, because God is exposing them. Very soon you're going to see truth very naked. The truth will fall and most of them are going to be completely naked. Because it's that time. They've been playing people for a long time. And it's time God says it is enough. And I'm going to seal the seal here. I'm going to close the lid. You can't play my people any longer. It's all about your money and your money. Do not. You can check in your society. Go to orphanages. Go and be of a blessing there. Those giving, God recognize them. I stopped a long time ago. If I want to give, I go and check what's going on in the society, wherever I come from. There are so many people who are really in need. And you can be of a blessing there. People in your family, someone you can pay school fees. You can be of a blessing. And God will acknowledge your giving. Stop giving these fake people money. Most of them are taking your money back to sources that you will never believe. And I'm telling you, you wonder why so many things are not working. It's because of these fake prophets. Beware, be sober, and be vigilant. I'm going to land right here. But I'm telling you this all because of love. And I will tell you more. I'll bring you evidence so that you can see what I'm telling you is facts. The time of playing people has gone. because God has opened other avenues to expose them and to make sure that they educate the people to say, hey, beware. Hey, be warned. Hey, beware. God loves people and he loves Zimbabwe. So it's so much. It's very deep and it's very deep connected. See how they're invading the church. That will show you how wise, how smart it is and how the enemy is working, moving. But remember, enemy, we have seen our eyes are on you. Our eyes are on you. We can see you. Our eyes are on you. We can see you. And we are very much prepared. Head on until we cross. And by the way, we are holding the checkmate and we are not giving up. Our eyes are on you. I love you so much. God bless you and God bless Zimbabwe. Yo, we must sleep tight and I'll see you tomorrow morning. And we will carry on. A lot of things are happening. I need to see what NEWSDAY is saying because every time NEWSDAY have to release some of the top stories, and I'm going to be coming here every day. And it's why we talk about these issues. It's about time that we open our mouth and we have conversations. Fear not, God is with you and he will protect you and he will guide you. I love you and sleep tight. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.